What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com, here with a name you know. You know her from wrestling, but you're about to know her from the Ring Along, which has a Kickstarter going on now. We're going to talk about that shortly. We got a Nitro Girl here. Chae, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's great to hear from you. The wrestling world hasn't heard from you in a while, so maybe update us. What's been up with you?
Well, 2 decades, right? Can you
Yeah.
believe it? I don't know where the time went, but so since March, I guess it's 2001. The girls and I, we tried our best to stay together. We, did a music thing for a while, and then from there, I think it was time for us to just let each other go individually into their own successes, and that's what we did. And from there, I competed in fitness for a while, and then met my husband. Or actually, I've known him for a long time, so we reconnected, and you know how that goes,
Of course.
dating, and then 3 kids, and we've been in Dallas now for 10 years.
Oh, that's amazing. It's great
Yeah, from
to
Atlanta. Yeah.
great to hear that you're doing well. Do you keep in touch with any of the old Nitro
Of
girls?
course. I mean, we can't get rid of each other even if we wanted to. We're just we're connected so deeply. I mean, I think I'm connected more with those girls than really anybody else in my life, even family. Believe it or not. But so everyone's very busy, so we try to stay connected, but we don't do too good of a job. But that's okay. We are very respectful of each other's private times, but we're always there when something good happens, like when Vanessa got married, a handful of years ago, and we're always definitely there when something not so good happens. So we can always count on each other.
So, I mean, the Nitro Girls are so fondly remembered. That was such an important time in pro wrestling, and you guys would be on the screen multiple times a night. You all would be getting more screen time than a lot of the top wrestlers would be.
Right, right,
I
right.
mean, what was it like for you in that period? Because I'm sure, like, constantly you would get recognized when you were out, and I mean, you all were celebrities.
Well, you know what though? But honestly, I'm speaking for all the girls when I say this. Strangely enough, we always stay humbled, and we always wonder what the big fuss was about. But I do have to say, so we debuted in July, and that following February, it was AC Jazz and Fire and I. We were in Hawaii for Pro Bowl, and we rented a jeep and were driving around, and this car pulled up next to us at the traffic light and asked us if we were the Nitro Girls. So of all places, it's not like in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta is the main event, with Sting and Lex Luger owning the gym. There was, especially us being based out of Atlanta. But being somewhere like Hawaii where you had to fly for like 8, 9 hours, and we're like, what? So yeah, that was kind of a surreal experience. But honestly, none of us, um, we really didn't think anything of it, but we just had a great time.
So maybe tell the people how it is you became a Nitro Girl. Was it like an open casting call? Was it a tryout? How did that work?
At the time, I was cheering for the Falcons,
Oh, nice.
and and Kimberly, so the hub of wrestling besides Turner Sports in Atlanta at the time was Main Event again. That's owned by Sting and Lex Luger. So that was a big wrestling, you know, central grand station, if you want to call it. And when Kimberly wanted to start the group, there were some girls. Actually, Spice worked out at the gym, and she knew Kimberly personally. And Spice at the time was dancing. She was a dancer for Life College, which is a great, chiropractic, university in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Amy, AC Jazz, also knew Kimberly from working out at the gym. So naturally, Kimberly reached out to both Spice and AC Jazz, and I don't even think they even had to audition. So I think Kimberly knew that Amy and Melissa were the two of the girls that she wanted, and she reached out to them and said, "Hey, what can you do to help me, audition some more girls?" And Amy, she was also a cheerleader for the Falcons. So she just sent a message out to the Falcons cheerleaders and said, "Hey, there's an audition for a live TV show. And of course, all these girls are so young. We were so young. We're like, sure, TV show.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Yeah. So that's the tryout that the audition that I had was exclusively consists of the Falcons cheerleaders.
That's
So
cool.
you can say that Kimberly had her pick. So yeah.
And I mean, obviously, things blew up for you. You all were in a video game, even. They put you in the WCW Thunder game. Was
Right.
was there anything extra that you had to do for that, or did they did you have to
No,
film anything or do any photos?
no, no, they came to us. It was kind of one of those like body imaging where you stood in the middle of this like a big, like a tented, like a tent.
Yeah.
And I think it was some kind of a scanner that went around and probably measured every square inch of our body in maybe, I don't know, maybe likeness of our faces. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was exciting, and honestly, I know Kimberly and no, not Kimberly, but Melissa and Amy. Oh, and you know what? Terry also,
Hmm.
Fire also worked out at main event too. So they knew the wrestling industry, but a lot of us we didn't, and I really didn't know what Nitro was. I mean, I knew Hulk Hogan because who doesn't know Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
right? But I really didn't know that Nitro was such a hot thing, and I didn't, let alone pro wrestling was such a hot thing.
The number one show on cable at the
Cable,
time.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right.
So when you get put in a video game and all that, like, do you get anything extra for it? Or are they like, hey, we're gonna give you an extra payday for that?
Yeah, it's licensing. They're using your likeness. So I have to tell you, you know what? I think we got like one big check
Hmm.
at one point, and I don't remember if we got any more after that. But it was a nice enough size where I actually used it to for down payment on a new car.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that's great. And
Yes,
the Nitro Girls were a part of Ready to Rumble as well. Like, I mean, it's one thing, like, you go from the Falcons to the number one cable rated show, you're in a video game, and then they're like, oh, hey, by the way, do you want to be in a movie? Please
right.
tell me how this comes about and, anything in relation to that.
Well, I mean, there was a big buzz about a movie coming, and rightfully so because I mean, why not? It was the hottest thing, and you just have to just see what all you can create from
Yeah.
because we even had like Nitro Grill. Remember the restaurant in
Yeah, you
Vegas?
did.
So so we weren't sure to what extent that we were going to be involved.
Sure.
But I do know that we had to practice with Rose McGowan,
Yeah.
who played the lead Nitro Girl, and we were based out of LA for about 2 months for that. There was we stayed at this hotel downtown, and that was like really it was our room 24/7 for 2 months, and we traveled in and out instead of our hometowns. We traveled in and out of LA, and then we'd go back. Whenever we weren't working Nitro, um, be on the set. We had our own trailers, so it was like a really fun experience. But at the same time, it felt natural.
Hmm.
I think um, because we were part of like the hottest production on cable TV, right?
Yes.
So we were used to things that they used to see in the backstage, all the lights, cameras, cameraman, and even like right down to the craft service, table full of food. So it was a natural. We felt natural in it, but at the same time, seeing some of the stars and and at the end going to premiere, that was that was something very special. And I remember I brought my dad, and you know he's only seen me on Nitro, and then there was that one locker scene. I don't know where we're kind of in our underwears.
Yeah.
I just remember like sitting next to my dad and seeing the movie, going, all right, kept telling my dad, Dad, this one's in like a movie, you know, yeah.
Did you all have to join like the Screen Actors Guild for that or anything?
Because of that, because we put in enough hours, we actually we became a member. So, which was a huge treat. But at the same time, when things when I knew that my life was taking a fork to the other side of the
Yeah.
marriage and kids and all that, because you have to pay dues every year, things
Sure.
like that, and it just I just let it expire. But I have to say, we still get checks.
I was about to ask because Tony Schiavone says that like once a year he'll get like a $100 check or something from
Well,
you.
he's getting a lot more than
Oh,
we're getting. Because if you think about it, I think the way it works is it also depends if you had a speaking role,
yes.
and we didn't. And I don't know how they break it down, but I want to say the speaking role is definitely more valuable than like screen time. Even if we would have had more screen time in somebody, but if they had a speaking role, then I think that's just kind of, I don't know how it works, but we get sometimes I can tell you that I've gotten a check where I'm like, I think they spend more money on postage than they did,
Do you
so
mind
yeah.
telling me? Do you mind telling me how much?
Oh my gosh, I think it was like 60 something cents at one point.
Amazing.
But I think we do get it actually quarterly.
Okay.
I don't know if Tony's getting it once a year, but I mean, it was substantial at one point, but I mean, 20 years later,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But we still get it.
Do
Yeah.
have those like gone up at all since it's like readily available on demand? Like I mean, their rentals have actually went up again because everything is accessible to people now.
Right. Everything is accessible. And I think what's happening is, I think 20-year is a good mark
Yeah.
where things become like a more of a from has been to now it's nostalgic,
Yes.
and somebody that watched us in high school or had those like Nitro college frat parties, now they're well into their late 30s, early 40s, and
They have disposable income. They've got
well,
big boy jobs now.
well, right, and also too, it's kind of a life cycle where you reflect on those good carefree times,
Yeah.
with fond memories. It's a part of your childhood. So I think because of that, yes, maybe there might have been like an uptick, but it's nothing. I don't think it was anything very noticeable. But yeah, so every time it's a joke in our house. Every time that check comes, my husband's like,
Oh, here it
yeah,
is.
you're gonna take me out on a dinner with this?" And I'm like, I don't know where you're gonna.
Oh.
Maybe to 7-Eleven for a dessert for Slurpee, but lotto ticket. You know what I need to do is I need to buy lotto ticket.
You do, and you can turn that 60 cents into something more. Then you got another down payment eventually.
I know, right?
So you mentioned the Nitro Girls going their separate ways after 2001. Did WWE ever contact you like for any reason, whether it be a documentary or to come in or anything?
Nope. Maybe I don't know. Maybe 20 years. I don't know,
Yeah.
but no, but they haven't. Um, yeah, they haven't. You know what's really interesting that just kind of dawned on me is even though there were, you know, it's kind of like world champion, heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
There's one, and then after another, and after another. But like, it's kind of neat that there weren't any Nitro girls after that,
Yeah.
right? There wasn't another Nitro Girl concept created, so it is kind of neat. It is a it it's like we feel special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have seen several of the Nitro Girls wrestle as well. Did they ever approach you and say maybe you're going to wrestle a match or anything like that?
No, I do know, vaguely remember. I think I got in some kind of a little scuffle with
Yeah.
Stacy,
Oh
and I
yeah.
don't know what it was all about. I just remember like it's just so funny because I remember jumping on her and calling her like spring chicken. Well, because she was so young, and but
Yeah.
at the same, as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Che, where did you pull spring chicken out of? I mean, anyway, I'm like hoping nobody heard of spring chicken, but no, you know, I'm actually the very only original Nitro girl that was that that actually lasted to the very, very end. You know, March of 2001 in Panama City, I think all the girls, rest of the Nitro Girls, were the ones that came on way after. Kind of
So,
like,
so if I remember, you were there for that last Nitro, correct?
yes, in Panama City.
What was the vibe there like? Because I mean, obviously, you all knew what was going on at that point.
Well, we didn't really know. We didn't really know.
Interesting.
There was such an uncertainty. We knew that there was uncertainty, and I know that even when we were in Australia in 2000, for the longest time, we really thought Eric was just going to come scoop us up,
Yeah.
and I think that was the plan. But you know, and I don't know if maybe there were certain guys that really truly knew, but but there were many of us who could only speculate.
Yeah.
So it was a big shock. Yeah.
So you mentioned Australia. When was that? Was that after WCW closed or?
No, it was. We went there right after the Olympics, 2000.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Because I just remember like seeing the Sydney Harbor, and they still had the
Yeah.
Olympic rings displayed on there.
Well, I also want people to learn about the ring along system that you have. This is something that you've obviously worked very hard on. There's a Kickstarter campaign going on right now, and I showed my wife this, and she was like, "Oh," like she took a glance at this, and she was like, "Oh, that's nice." Please tell the people about this.
But it obviously came out of necessity, you know, because I think the bags are either they cater to our needs for function
Yeah.
or fashion. And, you know, we have these like big fashion tote bags, and it's just big open space, right? And they do offer different kinds of organizers to keep your things organized. But really, the best thing that I found were just individual pouches because they keep things separate, and you could just kind of take one bag and go and whatnot. So the idea came out of necessity, especially when I was struggling with having three kids, you know, two toddlers, an infant, and I don't know if you have kids, but having kid, you're like a walking drugstore from the snack aisle to the diaper aisle to butt cream aisles and band-aids, and it's just you gotta be ready to save a life at any point because I mean when they're hungry they're about to die of starvation, and when they're bleeding you think that they're just gonna bleed to death right in front of your eyes. So you have to have all these things, and I was just so overwhelmed. And what would happen is I'm constantly just digging through my bag to find like a certain pouch if I needed a band-aid. And one day I thought, gosh, I mean, there's a way that I can keep it all together. And that's I don't know if you've seen the concept of it, but
Yes, I have.
basically, yes, each storage pouch is going to be offered in different materials and sizes to kind of figure, you know, to custom fit what you need it for. And each of the pouches, I put small rings on the corner, and they're hinged, so you can clip it on, and you can just push with one finger and unclip it. So it keeps everything together, and there's a larger ring that keeps it together, and you can wrap the strap around the no, you can wrap the ring around the bag strap, so it keeps all the pouches like displayed on top, so you don't have to dig for things anymore. And another fun, well, inventive utility of it is each one of the pouches have another spring ring on the opposite, so at any point, if you just want to take one bag, you just unclip
Yes.
it and you can clip on a bag strap and just take it with you. So what I typically do is, I mean, we're in and out of the car all the time between kids' sports and stuff. And I don't want to take my big old bags. I
Yeah.
usually keep it in the car. I put like something over it to keep it safe. But I just unclip the little pouch with my phone and my wallet and some change in it. And I have my bag strap, and I just put it around myself as a crossbody, and I leave the big luggage.
That's what my wife does too. She's always like, "Do I need to take my big purse? Because I don't
Yes,
really want to."
I don't really want to, and do I really need it? But
Yes.
I might need it, I might not. So she can take the big purse, and then if she's walking in somewhere, she doesn't have to carry it. She can
Yeah.
just leave what she doesn't need in the car, secure, with like something over it, and just take what she needs. So, and then it has so many other applications. I did a sort of demo video. We have an English lab, and he takes me on walks because he's so strong. So I put harness on him because it's easier to kind of control him. And the top of the harness is a little D-ring where you clip the leash. Well, I don't want to carry. Sometimes I carry my phone, my AirPods, so I just clip on one of these pouches on the D-ring, and I let my dog carry it for me. So it has many
That's cool.
applications. Yes, but that's pretty much the concept, and I have a utility patent on it.
And
So
you
I'm an
got
inventor. Can you
yeah.
believe it? 20 years later.
And you guys can learn more at ring-along.com. There's great like demo videos. You can see the sizes, the materials, all that stuff. Anything you could possibly want to know. You can also pre-order this on Kickstarter right now. When I saw this, I was like, man, that's fascinating. And I showed my wife, and she was like, oh my gosh, like why? It was one of those why didn't anybody think of that type of things.
Well, here's the thing. Do you remember when we used to just have those like really small wobbly wheels and luggages?
Yeah,
And then it was actually an airline pilot many years ago that thought, why don't I use much better wheels like rollerblade wheels and do a retractable handle?
yeah.
And that's how those luggages came about. So it's just you don't have to. It doesn't have to be something mind blowing, but
Sure.
just simple adjustment can really, you know, change the way you do things.
Well, guys, we encourage you to check this out. The links will all be in the video and the article, all that good stuff. You can also follow Chae on social media. We're so glad that you spoke with us. It's been great catching up with you, and we hope people check out the Ring Along.
John, you've been awesome, and thank you so much for being flexible today, and I really, really appreciate it.
Guys, until next time, we're out.